Assalamu alaikum, y'all. Peanut Q Public. It is springtime, and in Alabama, that means that we turn our air conditioners and our heaters on oftentimes in the same day, and the revolutionaries are coming back out of the woods and into the streets. So, on this week's episode of What I Would Have Said at City Council, I won't be going over what I said at City Council because I didn't speak. I didn't even write a speech because I knew in advance that the Tennessee Valley Progressive Association was meeting again for the first time in a long time. And frankly, I wanted to be there instead. So, this week I will be reading the first speech I ever made before City Council that was cut for time. It was a week, or the meeting after I made a speech regarding the First Amendment, so I went ahead and moved on to the Second Amendment, which I'll go ahead and read now. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, this speech was given November 18th, 2021. Brad Pugh was murdered by Huntsville Police Department on November 16th, 2020. And the speech that I gave was a memorial not only to Bradley Pugh, but to many of the other Huntsville residents that have been murdered for simply possessing guns, not only in America, where we have the Second Amendment, but in Alabama, where we have the legal right to open carry. And our government is currently deciding whether or not we have the right to concealed carry without a permit. But still, so many of our citizens are murdered for simply possessing a gun that I felt the need to remind our city leadership that we do have these rights. So, with that being said, here is what I would have said at City Council had I not been cut for time. On November 18th, 2021. 2 days ago marks 1 year since Brad Pugh was killed for possessing a gun. Jeffrey Parker, Crystal Ragland, Dana Fletcher, and Alberto Rivas are the names of some other Huntsville taxpayers murdered by representatives of the state because police claimed they had guns. Some of them did. For some of those killed, we can see police evidence photos showing the guns they had. And I gotta say, from a constitutional perspective, I don't care if they had guns. As people on American soil, we're guaranteed due process of the law as given by the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America. Owning and possessing guns is not a crime in this country. Even if it were, the police aren't judge, jury, and executioner. Of the 5 names I said earlier, Brad Pugh, Jeffrey Parker, Crystal Ragland, Dana Fletcher, and Alberto Rivas, only one has seen any kind of justice, which our mayor immediately and publicly undermined. As white people, many of us may think it's none of our business, but it's not just a black problem. Jeffrey Parker and Brad Pugh were cisgendered white men. Alberto Rivas was a Latino man who was very much white passing. Maybe y'all with money think you're immune because you think it's a poor people problem. But when you look at where these people lived, it wasn't high crime neighborhoods. Those who left kids behind go to nice schools. The disconnects we have, which allow us to blame victims, are endangering the very foundations of freedom which patriotic folk take pride in. And while the First Amendment allows for separation of church and state, the Christian influence can be seen in how laws are applied. Jesus, peace be upon him, said, "Whatever you do to the least of your brothers and sisters, you do to me." What we allow to happen to Brad Pugh, Jeffrey Parker, Crystal Ragland, Alberto Rivas, and Dana Fletcher at the hands of those who are supposed to protect and serve us can now be done to us. If we accept that gun ownership is a crime punishable by immediate death, no trial, no jury, no kissing your children goodbye, then justice has been served, I guess. But for me, my stepdad, my uncle, and grandfather risked their lives to preserve my constitutional rights. Crystal Ragland and Alberto Rivas risked their lives to preserve those rights for us, which were denied to them. They deserve justice, and we deserve representatives dedicated to the preservation of the rights that our troops fight for. And that's what I would have said at City Council on November 18th, 2021, given more time. So I hope y'all enjoyed that, found it interesting, whatever. I hope you will check me out on the HSV Progressive podcast. And, I did an interview on that podcast last week with Joy Johnson. Definitely listen to the rest of the episodes she's got. She's been keeping track of what's going on at City Council pretty well. But I do hope to see y'all at the next City Council appointment. I got a lot to say after learning that John Meredith has been working so hard to get internet for the people of the city of Madison, which he claimed didn't have relevance last time I heard from him. It's going to be interesting this year, folks. So, Assalamu alaikum, y'all.